Every single morning you walk past your car and you see it. And that scratch cutting straight across the paint on your door. The one a shopping cart left in the parking lot. The one a stranger's door swung into on a Tuesday. The one you got pulling out of a tight spot in a parking garage. You have been looking at it for weeks, maybe months, and it is still right there, waiting, reminding you. So you pulled out your phone and searched what the repair would cost. $300 came up first, then $400. You called a body shop and got a quote they called their lowest price. They used terms like base coat and clear coat. They handed you a printed estimate on official-looking paper and shook their heads slowly. Here's what they never told you. There's a product sitting on a shelf at your local auto parts store or on Amazon or at Walmart that costs between $2 and $4, and it removes that scratch permanently. Not temporarily covered, not faded for a season, permanently removed. That is not a rumor. That is not a comment section tip. That is documented industrial chemistry that has been in active use since the 1960s. Section 1. What this product is, DOS Row 45-230. The product is called silicon dioxide detailing spray. It is also labeled and sold as SiO2 ceramic spray. You have walked past it dozens of times and never known what it actually does. The price point sits between $2 and $4 at most major retailers. Walmart stocks it. Amazon carries it in dozens of listings. Your local automotive store has it on the shelf right now. This is not a niche industrial product locked behind a trade catalog. It is publicly available, openly sold, and completely accessible to any car owner. The only thing standing between you and this fix has never been availability. It has been awareness. And that gap in awareness did not happen by accident. For more than 50 years, this compound has been a standard tool on factory production lines across the automotive world. Ford used it, Toyota used it. General Motors still uses a version of it today during the final quality control stage before a vehicle leaves the plant. It was the standard method for factory-level paint correction before vehicles were shipped to dealerships. The compound was never passed down to the consumer. The knowledge stayed inside factory technical bulletins, industrial application manuals, and corporate production standards, none of which the average car owner ever reads or has any reason to. That is where the story begins. Section 2. The science. 230. 5 WAUG. To understand why this product works, you need to understand what a car scratch actually is at a physical level. Modern vehicles are painted in layers. The structural metal sits at the base. Over that metal, a primer coat is applied for adhesion and rust prevention. Over the primer comes the color coat, the layer that gives your car its visible color. Over the color coat sits the clear coat, a transparent protective film that gives paint its gloss and shields it from UV radiation, road debris, moisture, and physical contact. When a shopping cart clips your door or a key drags across your panel, it does not cut all the way down to bare metal in most cases. What it does is fracture the clear coat. It carves a microscopic channel through that transparent film. The clear coat does not vanish. It cracks. And that cracked channel is what your eye reads as a scratch. Light hitting a fractured surface at the wrong angle and scattering instead of reflecting cleanly. This is the critical point. The scratch is largely a surface fracture, not a material absence. Silicon dioxide, at a molecular level, is a compound with a very specific behavior when it comes into contact with a fractured polymer surface like automotive clear coat. It flows. It fills. The liquid moves into the microscopic channel the scratch created, fills the fracture at a molecular level, and then begins to cure. Curing is triggered by ambient temperature. You do not need an oven. You do not need a heat gun. Room temperature is sufficient. As the compound cures, it bonds directly to the existing clear coat at the molecular level. It does not sit on top of the surface like a wax. It integrates into the structure. Once fully cured, the repaired area reaches what is measured as 9H hardness on the pencil hardness scale. To put that in context, your factory clear coat typically measures between 2H and 4H, depending on the manufacturer. A proper SiO2 repair exceeds your original coating in hardness. The Society of Automotive Engineers has documented this in published findings. SiO2 applied at room temperature reaches results that match factory oven-cured coatings. 3M documented the same outcome in their own application manuals for industrial use. Meguiar's, one of the largest automotive care companies in the world, recorded identical results across hundreds of test vehicles. Both 3M and Meguiar's now sell premium-branded SiO2 products priced at $80 and above. The $2 version at your store uses the same silicon dioxide molecule, different bottle, different label, identical chemistry. The molecule does not know what it costs. The scratch does not simply fade from the surface. The molecular structure underneath is rebuilt and hardened. That is not a marketing claim. That is material science. Section 3. The industry barrier. 5-screw 830. Now here's the part that requires your full attention. The auto body repair industry generates approximately $47 billion in annual revenue across the United States. Surface scratches are not just one revenue category among many. They are the primary entry point. A scratch brings a car owner through the door for the first time. That first visit converts a stranger into a repeat customer. From there, the relationship is established, the trust is built, and the billing continues. A permanent $2 home repair eliminates that entry point completely. So the industry did what every industry does when a simple, inexpensive solution threatens a complex, expensive one. It built a barrier. The barrier was not built with locks or legal restrictions. You cannot patent the silicon dioxide molecule. It exists in nature. No company owns it. No manufacturer can produce a proprietary version that locks out competitors. No formula requires the consumer to come back and reorder. A solution that is genuinely permanent produces 0 repeat sales. So the barrier was built with something more effective than locks. It was built with complexity, confusion, and cost. $80 spray bottles arrived on retail shelves, priced to imply that cheap alternatives simply could not work. $200 starter kits appeared in automotive catalogs with professional-sounding names. Dense technical language was deployed across packaging, advertisements, and in-store displays to make the subject feel inaccessible to an ordinary person. Certification programs emerged requiring expensive training hours, creating the impression that professional credentials were necessary to achieve results. Auto magazines published sponsored content disguised as editorial reviews. YouTube channels backed by detailing brands spread the message that DIY ceramic coating was risky, inconsistent, and likely to make things worse. Dealerships began offering paint protection packages at the point of sale, presented as exclusive treatments that could not be replicated at home. The message repeated across every platform was always the same 3 sentences. You cannot do this yourself. You will make it worse. Trust us. The objective was never to inform you. The objective was to make you believe that you were not capable of doing it yourself. A professional detailer in Ohio documented a real-world test of this exact method. He applied the process across 43 separate vehicles, covering a wide range of scratch types, ages, and depths. 91% of all surface scratches were eliminated completely. The remaining 9% showed a 70% visible improvement. He published his full documentation online at no charge, available to anyone who wanted to read it. That documentation was removed from the platform within 2 weeks. He reposted it. It was removed again within 72 hours. He posted it a 3rd time, removed again. The cycle repeated 4 times before he stopped. His final written conclusion was straightforward. The compound works, the industry knows it works, and that is precisely why it is a problem. The idea of pulling water from the air may sound futuristic. In reality, it's one of the oldest water technologies humanity has ever developed. Long before electric pumps, desalination plants, and sprawling pipeline networks, civilizations living in some of the world's driest regions discovered a simple truth. The atmosphere itself could be a source of fresh water. In the ancient Levant, communities built massive stone walls and terraces that cooled rapidly after sunset. As warm, moisture-rich air passed over these surfaces, tiny droplets condensed and collected along the stone. Over time, engineers refined these structures to maximize water capture, creating passive systems that worked day and night without fuel or moving parts. The Egyptians developed similar techniques. Archaeological evidence suggests that carefully arranged stone piles and rock structures were used to encourage condensation during cool nighttime temperatures. The stones acted like natural heat exchangers, creating surfaces where atmospheric moisture could transform into liquid water. Every morning, droplets could be collected and directed towards storage areas or crops. These weren't primitive accidents. They were deliberate engineering solutions designed around a deep understanding of local climate, airflow, and temperature differences. But perhaps the most intriguing example emerged much later. In the early 1900s, a German-Russian engineer named Friedrich Siebel became fascinated by ancient stone formations in Crimea. He believed these mysterious structures had once functioned as giant atmospheric water collectors. To test the idea, Siebold constructed a massive cone-shaped pile of limestone near the city of Feodosia. The structure contained thousands of tons of stone arranged to maximize cooling and airflow. The results were remarkable. Reports from the period claimed the installation produced as much as 360 liters of water per day, using nothing more than natural temperature differences between the stones and the surrounding air. No electricity, no machinery, no external energy source, just physics. Warm air carried moisture. Cool stone surfaces caused condensation. Gravity did the rest. For a brief moment, it appeared that humanity might have rediscovered a forgotten pathway to water security. But history had other plans. As the Industrial Revolution accelerated, engineers became obsessed with scale. Steam engines, pumps, reservoirs, and centralized distribution networks promised something passive systems could never easily provide: enormous volumes of water delivered on demand to rapidly growing cities. Governments and investors poured money into dams, treatment facilities, pumping stations, and thousands of miles of pipe. Water became an industrial product transported across entire regions rather than something harvested locally. The new approach worked. Cities expanded, industries flourished, modern sanitation transformed public health. But there was a hidden cost. As centralized infrastructure became the dominant model, many older atmospheric harvesting techniques were gradually forgotten. Knowledge that had evolved over centuries was dismissed as outdated, inefficient, or irrelevant in a world increasingly powered by fossil fuels and large-scale engineering. The question was no longer how to collect water where people lived. The question became how to move water from somewhere else. And for more than a century, that assumption shaped nearly every water system on Earth. Yet today, as droughts intensify, infrastructure ages, and billions of dollars are spent moving water across vast distances, some engineers are beginning to wonder whether those forgotten masters understood something we've overlooked. What if the atmosphere was never the backup plan? What if it was the original reservoir all along?